Connecting audio, connected. Hello.
Hello, Beena. Hello, Beena. Hello, Beena.
Yes. Good morning, Syl.
Yes, good morning, indeed. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Graham. Good morning to everyone who is going to watch us live or recorded. Hopefully, Norma. At least this is something what I expect. Kind of expect. I know that still don't want to get into that expectations kind of mindset, but these are expectations without any restriction or limitation. So, Norma, I'm just saying hello in advance to you because I really enjoy that. Okay.
Yes, good
Anyway,
morning, Norman.
today's
Good morning, Norman.
yes,
Hello,
yes.
Norman.
Yes, thought of the day. It is coming back to every action, everything in my life. When I started paying attention, everything is coming back to the intent. Whatever we do, or anyone actually is doing, or thinking, or saying, if we just start paying attention to the intent, then it all makes sense. Otherwise, many things in life are completely unnecessary, not sensible, not understandable, really hard to comprehend. And sometimes you just ask that why, how, these type of questions, because things doesn't make sense till we start paying attention to the intent. Of course, the intent of the individual in a local sense, and to the intent of the abstract intent of the individual, and then the intent of the universe. uh, Before coming here, we were involved in a discussion which I don't want to pay much attention and like attract more attention towards that. That's why I'm not going to mention it. But we were discussing, and it's a usual thing. And I was asking questions because for me it was like, it doesn't make any sense to me that okay, why this thing is so important,
Yeah.
because that was not part of my mindset, that was not part of my intent also, and that was not part of my personal culture. Okay. So for me it was really difficult to understand that why it is so important, why it is so crucial. And I was like, okay, maybe it is just unnecessary emphasis which might create a lot of or attract more of that type of nonsense in life. So I was like, I was avoiding, try to avoid all that thing. I don't discuss it much, because I learned that. but but the intent behind that, because when you ask questions, of course, other people, mostly this is what happened. When you start asking earnest questions, you connect to the intent, even when they are not intending to do so. Other people not intending to do so. But earnest questions actually have power to connect with the intent. So when I was asking questions like, okay, why it is like this? It sounded like that, okay, I was questioning, but actually I was asking questions. And when I was asking questions, when I was getting answers and proper response to that, I realized that what really matters,
No.
Beena, intent. Sometimes people say and use, okay, in American culture, some of my friends, they can't control it. They use effort.
Yeah, yeah.
And in front of me also, they were using, and then they were like, okay, we don't want to use, but it's not a big deal. I never ask anyone to say something specific to me or not, but of course, but I do try to keep that thing very clear that I'm not going to participate into that. I'm not going to
Correct.
involve into this, because for
Yeah.
me, using slangs, using inappropriate words, which I call bad words,
Using
as
slang. Yeah.
yes, uh, is just a way of sloppy communication. Because for me it's a proof that I cannot communicate myself, even
Yeah.
when I'm very angry, upset or
Yeah.
something. I want to say it appropriately, because I have a trust
Right.
in the power of words and the power of vocabulary also,
Right.
that can communicate things. But of course, this is not a rule. This is not something everybody, of course, belongs to and relate to that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that in a different culture, in a different paradigm. You need something where
Yeah.
people can connect to that and they understand. Again, coming back to the thing, the most important things in your way of learning, in the path of learning and growing, is appropriateness and intent.
Yeah.
we have to understand that first we need to be appropriate, and well, second is, or of course the first is the clarity of intent, why we are doing something. I'm not saying
Exactly.
that okay, it is bad or negative to use these type of words. It is just something I don't want to. This is something, it's okay for me if other people are using that. I don't enjoy that communication very much, because for me, like okay, yeah, it's a sloppy way, but not necessarily. Again, it is not a rule, and rules are valid and good till they are appropriate.
Yeah.
You cannot just paint everything in your favorite color. You cannot do this. It's not appropriate. So even the words which are really, really important to me, and I just love when people are able to communicate in the most
Uh,
refined way. I just love that. But it doesn't negate the value of expression, which can actually connect with other people. Different people have different
Correct,
mindset.
correct, correct. It's about
Yes,
appropriateness. You know, it depends on
exactly,
your environment. And sometimes to
exactly.
use those ugly words is
Yes,
appropriate. Even
yes,
even
yes,
in a nice environment, we have to have
exactly.
that ability to be appropriate in all contexts. Uh,
Yes, yes.
Very
So this
powerful
is
points,
something,
Beena.
and I just want to make it clear. If it doesn't make any difference to my understanding and
Yeah,
my respect to any of
yeah,
my friends, whatever that language they use, it doesn't make any difference to me. They remain the same people. Yes, I don't want to use that because for me this is my personal choice, but it doesn't negate the value. Again,
correct.
coming back to the learning and growing, and real transformation is once we understand what is
Yeah,
appropriateness and what is the clarity of intent.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is the real foundation of uh, a positive transformation in our lives. And I'm amazed by the moreness of these concepts. Every single thing, every single concept based on that. Otherwise, it's all just meaningless uh, effort and useless exercises which
Exactly.
keep going on and on and on and on. And at the end, nothing,
Yes,
nothing.
yes. Now, to get real sophisticated on this, Beena,
Yes,
I'm saying yes, sometimes it is appropriate. However, we must be take our cue here from Biella and the new nobility. In their sophistication, they have a whole culture which is premised on focusing almost exclusively on the entirety of moreness. Yes, nobility,
yes,
self-improvement, learning, growth, integrity, sophistication, discernment, depth, all of the stuff, awareness, right? However, part of the training of an aspirant is to understand the superiority paradigm.
yes,
If you have an idealistic, or well, that's what makes it idealistic. Idealistic is when they don't have that connection to reality. Yes, if they were exclusively, like 100% exclusively, only focused on idealistic stuff, they would be unrealistic, which is what idealistic is. It's not realistic. Yes, but this is what makes the new nobility. And Biella, if you read Ask Biella, what makes her different is that she is realistic. Very, yes. However, being realistic means you are not ignoring that which is not ideal.
mm,
But just because you're not ignoring it and you're aware of it doesn't mean you want to emphasize it. You want to de-emphasize it as much as possible, right?
yes,
Because as we understand in terms of dealing with people, yes, in the one chapter there where that expression, give a dog a good name, and then they'll try and live up to it. Yes. When
mm,
we apply this, I mean, it's a poor expression because it doesn't really apply to people, but when you apply it when interacting with others, when you deal with their moreness, in other words, if you give them a moreness name, they'll try and live up to that moreness, yes, which is how the new nobility and how Biella interacts with things, yes. and what we try and do here in our lives, how we interact with people. We assume, we take for granted. We don't even assume, we just take for granted. And not even take for granted, we connect and find their moreness, and that's what we connect to. And then they automatically share back and come from their moreness. Yeah? Now, that doesn't mean that we are unaware of the reality of lessness. No, because that makes you idealistic. And when you're idealistic, you end up in a bubble, and it's hollow and it's fragile and it's vulnerable, right? So we want to be aware of the negative in life so that we aren't ignorant, we aren't naive. Yes. But simply because I'm aware of it doesn't mean I want to carry it around like a shield. Because if I'm walking around with a shield, somebody's going to come and smack me with a sword or a hammer or something, because, well, that's what the shield is there for. See, it creates that environment. Well, if I got a
Yes.
shield, I'm expecting to be attacked, and sooner or later somebody is going to attack you. Yeah. Now, that's what I'm saying. In our sophistication, we want to always be aware of it as something that is a potential reality. And yes, of course, it's also historically a reality, but I don't want to bring it into my life. I am going to create an environment and a world around me in which that is not minimized, but de-emphasized. De-emphasized to the point of non-existence. Yeah. So when I'm interacting with somebody, and this I have continually have experience with, yes, I'm interacting relative to their moreness. That doesn't mean that they aren't full of nonsense in when they're not interacting with me, yes, or with us, or with in the environment. I'm fully aware, and they will tell too. When I went to work, I got nasty, I got bitchy, whatever. Okay, I understand that, but I'm going to create the climate where doing it here is not appropriate. Yes, and it's not even a thought, because it's not about suppressing the negative. It's about the desire to engage in your moreness. So this is just elementary psychology. When you try to not think of something, it's difficult. The fantastic example of always, well, if I say pink elephant, you immediately think of it. I said, don't think of a pink elephant. Yes. Well, the trick out of that is to think of a black rhinoceros, or a purple rhinoceros or something. So the moment somebody says, don't think of something in your mind, if you immediately start thinking of anything, and you say, okay, I must think of this, I must think of this. And then you think of that, and you don't think of the thing that you're not supposed to think of. See? So it's all about utilizing emphasis very appropriately. But in our sophistication, we want to be emphasizing moreness, 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 but not hollowly, not naively. Yes? Simply because I'm emphasizing moreness doesn't mean I must be unaware of the possibility and the potential of lessness. Yes? I want to have it be, I mean, in practical terms, almost zero, right? There's no real chance for it happening, and it doesn't. However, that doesn't mean I'm completely unaware of it, because if that is so, somebody's going to see it as an advantage to come and exploit you. Yeah. When you're sophisticated and they see, wow, they're treating me as mourners, even though they're aware of potential lessness, they don't want that potential lessness, because if you're aware enough to be that sophisticated, then you're going to be also aware of the full depth of their nonsense, and they don't want to have that exposed. So they're not going to bring that out, because now you're going to take that same discernment, sophistication, and apply it to their lessness and start talking about it. And, well, I don't want that to come out in the open, not in a nasty way or not, but see, this don't want it there to be there. So we have this entirety which takes care of all of the nuanced elements. And in the end of the day, we don't want to be unaware of negativity, because that will make you vulnerable. And also, it means that we won't deal with it when it is out there, right? I can't pretend there's no war and famine and stuff in the world. Yeah, I can't do that. But I have to focus on the positivity, because if I focus on all of that, that's all I'm going to be doing all my life. If that's how my path is going, and I'm going to be dedicated to being a charity worker, fine. But everybody has different paths. And there has to be some of us that are focused on the moreness and the joy and the positivity. Otherwise, life would just be one unending series of dealing with negativity and miserableness. Yeah. So we have to have this balance and appropriate emphasis, in other words. Yeah. That's the key. Right? To resolve your issue about language, yes, it is about appropriate emphasis. Yes, we want to, in general, emphasize and not use negative, horrible words. Absolutely. All right. But that doesn't mean we must be ignorant of their existence and of their necessity sometimes. Ugliness sometimes has a necessity to it. Yes. Yes, Beena?
Oh, yes.
All right. So when we understand this, it changes the whole dynamic. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Does that make sense now in terms of the entirety of the whole situation?
Ah, this is what I was trying to share with. So yes.
So I was just doing a repeat back of what you were saying.
Yes,
Norma's here.
I was saying
Norma
that.
says,
Yeah.
I'm here, but then she said I had to go. So
Oh, okay. No, no problem, normal.
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. All good.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you were here, Norma. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you were here. But maybe she'll come back. Maybe she'll come back. But I'm glad you even just said that you were here and then said, sorry, I had to go. Somebody probably come and visit. All good, Norma. All good. All good. All good. Wonderful, Norma. All right. Sorry, Avina, I wasn't, looking to say that you weren't saying this. I was just doing my repeat back,
No, no, I
of
was
what
just
you were saying.
responding to when you said, okay, now it makes sense. I said, okay, it was making sense to me before also.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
saying that, okay, it
Yeah.
doesn't make
Well, no,
sense.
I'm asking if what I said makes sense because that means
Oh,
I
yes.
accurately was repeating back what you were saying because that's what I was trying
Yes,
to
yes,
do. Yeah.
yes. Oh, yes.
I
Oh,
wanted
yes.
to make sure to get a clear handle on the issue. Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh,
Okay, so we are going to start reading.
yes, we are. We are. We are. And I'm keen on this topic here. But, you raised such a very important topic, Beena, about appropriate. Well, it was focused on the language. I was taking it further, a little bit bigger.
Yes, yes.
Appropriate emphasis and understanding and awareness of negativity. Yes, in all of its forms.
Mm.
That was the key issue. Yes, just because I don't have it in my life doesn't mean that I'm ignorant of it or don't
Yes,
understand how it is elsewhere. Yes, and
yes.
this is very important. Yeah, this is very important. I mean, if you the hyena, it's all very well to talk about a alternative moreness paradigm, but unless you're going to go live on your own, you're stuck in that system. Yeah. And how to change systems like that? I mean, over time, yes, but when you're aware of it, it's very difficult to change it right away unless you happen to be in that position to do so. If you're not, then you're just stuck. A very difficult situation. However, just because things aren't usually done, if you're a hyena, it doesn't mean can't go and make friends with the wild dogs and become one of them. There are many interspecies friendships. The impossible is possible when we pay attention. So we have to understand that even though we can't imagine solutions, doesn't mean they don't exist. I want to put that in my quote file, actually. Well, that's if my file decides to work. But essentially, the quote would be just because I cannot imagine a solution doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's very important to remember, don't you think, Beena?
Oh, sorry,
Beena?
I was on mute. Sorry.
Oh,
Yes,
I said just
yes.
because I can't imagine a solution doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I think this is very
Exactly.
important to remember when we
Exactly.
get stuck with solutions. Im- just say, well, I can't imagine it, but there is one out there somewhere. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, intended. And actually, as a point of attunement, the thing to do then is to put your intent on paying attention to attunement, because that's the point of anomalies, is that they bring you to attention, uh, help you to pay attention to that which you otherwise can't imagine. Yes. So that's exactly for a time when you can't imagine a solution, where you start paying attention to the universe, the world around you, and start looking for anomalies. Because I can't imagine it, but through the anomaly, that will be the gateway, and that will give me the starting point, and eventually I'll get there, or will lead me there. Right, either way. Right? So this is very powerful. Pay attention. I remember one major change in my life came about. The start of it was I received an email. Now, I receive a lot of emails in a day, because back in the day when I started writing, I signed up for a lot of writing emails and all sorts of different stuff. I don't like to cancel them, because, every now and then I get something, and just in the headline, oh, okay, it was very interesting, which again happened also the other day in a very smaller way. Um, Somebody just mentioned something. I had a look, but I opened this email, and I was very suspicious about it, because it was a very profound offer. It's a life-changing, wonderful, magical, out of the blue, miraculous offer. And I was like, really? I was very suspicious. But that's the point, see? I did act on it, even though I was suspicious and trusted without trusting. Um, because it was anomalous. Just because it's anomalous doesn't make it negative or suspicious. Everything said it was genuine, but I had to then separate out anomalousness for actual suspicion. Other typical suspicious emails, they have things which don't add up, and a lot of little reasons why you can tell something is there. This had none of those, but it was still didn't match my expectations. That doesn't make it suspicious. That makes it anomalous. See the difference? Beena,
Yes.
you with me? Sorry, I just want to know you're
Yes.
with me. All
Yes.
right. All right. So
Yes.
I'm just saying, though, that, when we start to understand the difference between things that are suspicious and don't add up, as opposed to anomalousness, pay attention, because it will lead you to what you don't imagine. And I never imagined that. I never thought it was realistic or possible, but yet it was true, and it happened. All right. So this is very cool. Just something to bear in mind, yes, that we don't fall into that
Yes.
trap of confusion. And just because we can't imagine it doesn't mean it's not real, yes, or doesn't exist.
Yes.
Very, very, very important. There are many things that exist that we don't imagine. I live it every day. Yeah. Right, Beena?
Yes.
Ah. All right. So, yeah.
Yes.
Let's read this. Let's read this article. Am I screen sharing? No. Oh, by the
Oh.
way, when I go to my Zoom, and where I clicked go live, I could choose between Twitch and Facebook and YouTube, but I can't do them both at the same time. I did see
Oh.
some. I did see some articles or something somewhere at some point that it is technically possible. So I just have to look at that, because we were just kind of thinking of going live on YouTube and seeing what happens, but then we can't do it on Facebook. So
Oh, then it's not
well,
something.
according to this, to Zoom, but I think there is a way to do it, and we'll figure that out. No, we'll look at that
So
and see.
it might be like, okay, from Facebook you can share something on the other platform.
Yeah, well, let's see. Let's see. I mean, I'm sharing it, in the let's see, to shares. I have to get out of this to to do more share. Uh, okay, let's try up here. Yeah, it's interesting. If anybody knows if you can do both at the same time, just let us know in comments there. I know it came up. Somebody was asking about it. It may have been sure. They was asking about it. That yeah, it share in Messenger, share to a page, more options, share to a group, share to a page. No. So I don't know. Um, that's an interesting thing. I never ever looked to see if if I'm live on the website,
Oh,
because I know that post goes immediately. Let me show you. It's much easier to show than to let me go live here. I mean, share screen and show you. Okay, so this is not the better one to do it. It's over here. So when I share to the page, right, nobelia.org Facebook page, yeah, then I have a plugin on the website which oh, where is this now? For some reason, some of my things, yeah, I click on it and it doesn't work. I don't know. It's not bringing up the page. Oh, well, all right. I can do it on the other one, I guess. Let me refresh this. You see, yeah, this is the page. I have a plugin on the website which allows for when I make a post to the page, it dynamically in real time shows up on the website. And this plugin is having a hard time, but it's on the left-hand side here now. It'll come in a moment. Right. So, but I never ever check to see if we are, it says live. So somebody on the website can watch us live if they're not on Facebook, if they only know it from the website. If they click and play this, it will play live. I mean, if I play it, I'm going to get feedback. That's why I'm not clicking on it. But see, it says live. Right? So that's interesting to know. But probably I could take this and then share this live to YouTube. That's probably how I imagine it would work. Yeah. All right. Anyway. Now I went and closed that thing. Facebook, you're full of nonsense. All right. Let's get back to where we were. We're digressing. We'll read in a moment. We'll read in a moment. Yeah. That's all right, Norma. Okay. Okay. All right. Go. Let me just, yes, Rasta. Yes, every day. You've been there, Rasta. You've been in comments.
she's not getting the time right.
What's that?
She's not getting the time right. Yes.
Yeah, or not. I said I'm live, you know, but she's not realizing that I do this every day.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's like, where have you been, Michaela? I mean, you've come on this, you've commented. At 10. Well, 10 is her time, 10 too. So, all right. Please read, Beena. Please read. Please read. This is an important chapter. Very important chapter. I'm very keen to know what Biella has to say about this. Yeah. Big issue. Where'd you go, Beena?
I'm here.
Oh, I said, yeah. No, I said something there was his reply, but all right. I said this is
No,
a very
please.
big
It was
issue. Yes.
which issue, sir?
The topic, the chapter.
Our lot in life.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you're hearing me properly. It seems like, yeah.
No, it was shopping. It was shopping.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Okay. Anyway, I'm reading. I can at least I can read. That is something.
Mm.
Because mostly it is blurred, so I could. But today it is clear.
Good.
Our lot in life. I'm confused about reducing wants to nothing. Now, dear M, the idea and conception of reducing wants to nothing is tricky. It's certainly a generalization. Want nothing except appropriateness, except learning and growth. those aren't really wants, but intents. And also, I think, what? Those aren't really wants, but intents. Hmm. Interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But intense. And also, I think those come hardwired. They are our lot in life, our fate, destiny, or however one wants to see it. Whether we want to or not, we will be forced to learn. So, in those aspects, it's simply going with it or not. And yes, most certainly, I see the difference between want and intent. To me, there is intent, just intent by itself, as a universal force, like gravity. It simply exists. Its effect in the universe, as far as I'm concerned. That intent is the intent to awareness, the intent to self realization, to self awareness, to self knowing in its most complete sense. It's thus, one could say, an intent to transcendence.
Hmm.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. So this is going to be different now. Wants and intents are different. Hmm.
And again, let's
I'm
stop
going
there.
to,
Let's stop there. Do you feel they are as well? Do you see that there's a difference?
yeah, that's why I was like, wow, okay. So my wants and intents, okay, I do set intents for my wants to materialize.
There you've named the difference. I set
Yes.
intents for my wants. Do you set intents for all your wants?
No,
Not
no,
necessarily. Well, at
no.
least in your case, from Way of Impeccability, you've learned to if you're going to want something, then take it all the way to an intent. Otherwise, don't waste your energy wanting it.
Yes,
Okay.
because idea of want is sometimes you just want to, like, okay, it's a normal thing. You just want to relax. You don't want to do anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the idea of relaxing is completely different. Do you really want to just relax? No, it's a temporary thing. It comes and it goes, and that was a want in that particular hour of the day, and in that particular day, on that particular day, or something like that. But it is not something I'm just going to set my intent. Oh, I just want to relax. No, it's not like that. So wants are very different. Sometimes they just come into your life, and like they happen, and then you was like, okay, yeah, this is something I want, but I'm really not intending to get it, because I know that there are some consequences, and of course uh, the materialization of it uh, will cost or might cost me something which I don't want, absolutely don't want.
Yeah.
So yes, so it's a kind of like a tricky thing for me to say about wants. There are many wants which you know that, okay, yeah, I want, but no, not really.
Yeah. Oh,
So
Michaela
that is
said
what
I
it is.
in chat in comments there. Brilliant, Michaela. Brilliant. She
Okay.
said
Hello,
in
Michaela.
Messenger, she said she can't hear, but I don't know if that means me or you. Please say in comments, Michaela, if you can hear
Oh,
me
that
or if you can hear Beena or neither or both. Well, I suppose if you're not hearing, you won't be able to say this.
yes. Yes. So I'm going to wait and I'm going to read it again because this is very important for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just waiting for Michaela's response, so like we can be sure that she can and others can.
Where is she now? It's all of a sudden, it just, you see on the side here, I closed all of these. I closed them earlier today, very deliberately. And now I'm just bringing them all up again. All I want is Norma and whoever I'm busy with and Beena. Not before, but now I can hear. It comes and goes. I think some glitch. Yes, just poor internet. I'm getting my
Yeah, it's
router
good.
today. So, yeah, my
Oh,
internet
that's
is
good. That's
bad.
good.
My internet is bad.
Yes. So it was
Okay.
happening for me also, Michaela, when I was not hearing what Syl was saying. So
Oh.
sometimes I just have to assume that, okay, that this is what he might be saying, that. And that's kind of like,
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I
See,
mean,
see,
the
these
thing that we want to try and avoid doing, being is forced to do. Very good.
yes, but
Very
these are the perks of
as appropriate, as
doing
appropriate.
doing 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 tons of things together to know each other. That okay, this is
Yes,
somehow he might be saying. Of
yes.
course, I can't be sure
Oh,
because
now I've
it's
got
not
to say
connected.
something that Beena does not expect me to say.
Yes. So sometimes my responses are like, yes, yes. And then I just say, okay, yes. So what
Wow.
he was saying in the context. So I will just do that. Anyway,
Yeah.
it is just trying to be in the with the flow and as much value as we can get out of it to be by being appropriate. Anyway,
Hmm.
what you're trying to do is to mute me. You can't, at least not.
I'm not Jim Carrey in that movie. No, I want to adjust my camera, but it's not adjusting.
It looks like that. Okay, I was talking and you were like, no, no, no.
No, 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 I'm not. But yeah, that's a good joke, Beena. Sometimes this thing works, and other times not. Who knows? I don't know.
Anyway, okay. Coming back to
Oh well, it's
repatriation.
because I'm using the wrong thing. I'm using trying to use the remote for the light above me. No wonder it didn't work. Yeah, no, seriously, still they look the same. They look the same. This is the remote. Yeah, Ah, yeah. There we go. You see, there we go. But I still have to click 3 or 4 times before it goes. I have to hold it fairly close. You see. Anyway, there we go. All right, because I want to relax and sit sideways while I listen to you and put my feet up over here and just chill.
Hmm.
Just chill. I just want to chill a bit. Yeah.
See the want of
Ah,
just relax and doing nothing. See, it
yeah.
is right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's cool here today. It's mid-April, and it's not winter weather, but it's a winterishy weather. I mean, it's cool. It's cold. I have to put the blanket over me. I don't have the heat on. I don't want to go and put the heat on just for this now. I don't, it's not cold, but it's cool. It's chill. It's nice. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. I love this weather. Anyway, let's read. Let's read. All right, read the
Okay.
whole start again from scratch. And
Yes,
Michaela,
this is what I
Michaela,
want to do. Yeah.
Michaela, 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 Michaela. Her daughter's name is also Michaela. And I tease her, Michaela, Michaela. Gotta say it really fast. You got very cute children, uh, little angels. Anyway, Michaela, you've got to comment. You've got to comment. This is part of doing Way of Impeccability. Just consider it that way. We haven't been there. We've gotten behind just because life is busy, and so. But you can come and do it now. Yeah, practice doing what Beena's doing right now. Beena read this paragraph, but in the context of the question, right? But also the paragraph on its own is can be taken. But she's going to go over it, and then she's going to give us a repeat back on it and or our understanding. She's going to make the effort to comprehend and take into herself and make her own what Biella is sharing, because it's a very profound point. Yes.
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, so just comment in comments, Michaela. Beena, repeat what I just said for Michaela.
Okay. Okay, it is just to not only for the understanding, and of course, it is to share the repeat backs and takeaways to get it really, really comprehended in your thought process, and of
Right.
course, as a result, make it your own so that you can actually apply it in your life.
Right,
Because without application, it's all meaningless.
right. But tell Michaela that I'm saying that as part of Way of Impeccability, I want her to do this.
Oh yes, yes, because this is a part of it. When you are
You have
making
to repeat that.
comments.
She's not hearing me. You have to repeat that.
Oh, okay. So Syl is saying that it is part of doing Way of Impeccability to make comments and listen. So you can practice your capital H hearing, you can practice your attention,
Yeah,
focused attention,
yeah.
and you can of course practice your communication skills to
Right,
repeat, to
right.
say it and share your repeat backs or takeaways. Okay, yeah, smaller ones in the comments. This is part of doing Way of Impeccability. And it
For
was
her
good.
specifically, for
For
Michaela
her
specifically.
specifically, because
No,
you
not for
guys are a
her,
bit
for
behind.
you. You talking to Michaela. Come on, Beena, you got to translate
Yes,
here.
yes, okay. For you, Michaela, it is very important to do that, especially because
Thank you.
you guys are a bit behind to communicate, and the communication is not really going well because of a lot of busyness you guys, both of you, have in life. So
Yeah.
please do try to make an effort. Be here on time. We do this daily. These are daily lives, and I read. And then, of course, uh, Syl is saying that, okay, this is part of your doing way of impeccability to
Mm.
make comments relevant to what we are reading and sharing.
Yes, very good. All right, so now reread again. Start from scratch. And don't worry about the audio. Also, Michaela, it's very likely that your internet, which is also not so good, is making this a bit incoherent. So, yeah,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
do the best you can. Well, again, Michaela, you can read the article right here. You don't have to rely on that. You can read it. Yes, while you're on the phone. I don't know if you can get on your laptop. If you have one, I
Yes.
don't know if you
Okay.
have one or not. I'm not sure. Anyway.
A lot in life. I'm confused about reducing wants to nothing. Dear M, the idea and conception of reducing wants to nothing is tricky. It's certainly a generalization. Want nothing except appropriateness, except learning and growth. I think it has to be capital G growth, but okay. Those
Yeah.
aren't really wants,
Oh, you're right.
but
They both
intents.
must be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Those aren't really wants, but intents. And also, I think those come hardwired. They are our lot in life, our fate, destiny, or however one wants to see it. Whether we want to or not, we will be forced to learn. So in those aspects, it's simply going with it or not. And yes, most certainly, I see the difference between want and intent. To me, there is intent, just intent by itself, as a universal force, like gravity. It simply exists. It's a fact in the universe as far as I'm concerned. That intent is the intent to awareness. That intent is the intent to awareness. The intent to self realization, to self awareness, to self knowing in its most complete sense. It's thus, one could say, an intent to transcendence.
Yeah. One moment. One moment. Yeah. Where Biella says this: want nothing except appropriateness, except learning and growth. I think that that's a bit of a jump here. Yes. You understand what I mean? It's sort of in isolation. Is she telling M to want nothing except appropriateness, except learning and growth? That's what it reads as. Telling her,
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, what she's saying that, okay, the first, for me, what first she says that they are wants and they are intents. Because mostly, generally, people assume that, okay, oh,
Yeah, she hasn't
this is
even
an
gotten
intent.
there yet. She's
No, she
just,
says
yeah.
that in the beginning.
She said it
Oh,
after this.
okay, okay.
See? She hasn't
Hmm.
said about wants and intents yet.
Yes.
Right? You see what I'm saying? She's just jumping right
Yeah.
there. Now you kept reading on and you backwardly applied this understanding to that sentence. So it's
Yes.
fascinating how time is so flexible, yeah? But when you first
Yes.
get there, when you read the sentence, that reads as if she's saying to M, want nothing except appropriate. That's how else are you going to read that sentence?
Hmm.
Yes,
Want
she's
nothing.
saying it as a generalized, overall, abstract overview, but that's only because she used to be Ella. Yeah,
Hmm.
you see what I mean? You know that she's not going to say it directly, but if you don't know that about Biella, that's how it reads. So I want to change this here. Anyway, uh, share. So what does this mean to you, Michaela? What does this mean to you? Is there a
Yes.
difference for you, Michaela, between want and intent? So in case Michaela doesn't hear me, repeat that question on my behalf, please, Beena.
Okay. So what does this the first and second paragraph? Of course, the first paragraph in which Biella is sharing with the questionnaire who is M that want and intent. What she's saying here. So please, what you understand from this paragraph, specifically the first paragraph, from dear M to with it or not. Because I'll ask you to make a comment about it as your takeaway or repeat back.
Yeah. Do you see a difference between want and intent? And if so, what is it? Yeah.
So do you see a difference between want and intent? And if it is so, then what it is? So Michaela,
Yeah.
this is a question for you.
All right. Look what I changed this to. Biella says, Dear M, the idea and conception of reducing wants to nothing is tricky. It's certainly a generalization, right? It's a generalization of reducing this wants to nothing, right? Um, because we've gotten this idea and it comes from Buddhism and all this, right? As I see things, we can want nothing except appropriateness, except learning and growth. Change that whole sentence there. It's much better now, yes?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. Those aren't really wants, but intent. Now we get the shift, yes? And also,
Okay.
I think those come hardwired. I mean, just this is like whammy on top of whammy, like bang on top of bang. Like, whoa, you're like really saying really big deal stuff, right? First of all, you're saying that appropriateness and learning and growth is an intent. I don't intend that. I don't even want it. I don't even know what appropriateness is. Learning and growth, yeah. See? So right there, you have to really think about this, right? And she's saying, well, also, I think they come hardwired. Well, we kind of have to learn to survive. So, yeah, and you have to want to learn and grow in order to evolve. Learning and growth
Hmm.
for survival, you don't have to want it. You just do it because you have to, and you may be reluctant. No, I have to, otherwise I'm going to die or suffer. All right, okay. Yeah, but when it comes to evolving, you have to want it. Yeah. But I think at this point in time, look at children. We are hardwired to learn. Yeah, we learn automatically and we like learning. That's what play is, right? And even in animals, play is learning. It's why they play, right? You watch all animal play, they are rehearsing for later in life, right? When they're adults, right? So play is learning. Right? We're hardwired for it, yeah? Even though you may not think so. They are our lot in life. Remember, that's this up here, it's the subheading, our lot in life, yeah? Again, our lot is a lot has a negative connotation to it. But then Vienna goes a bit further, right? Fate, destiny,
Vienna.
yeah? Or
Just
however
Vienna.
one wants to see it. Yeah, Vienna softening it. But even though she started with saying our lot in life, because if you think of it in that way, it has that connotation that, well, you might not like it, but you've got to accept it, right? And that's an important hurdle to overcome. So it's the overview, but it's kind of fuzzy a bit, but it makes you think a bit, right? A lot in life, right? So this reducing wants also that you have some, right? And whether we want to or not, we will be forced to learn. So in those aspects, it's simply going with it or not. And this is a small L learn here, not necessarily a capital L learn. Yeah. You want to capital L learn, you have to make a bit of effort. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And yes, I sort of read this next paragraph and then you carry on. And yes, most certainly, I see the difference between want and intent. To me, there is intent. Just intent by itself as universal force like gravity. It simply exists. It's a fact of the universe as far as I'm concerned. And that intent is the intent to awareness, the intent to self-realization, to self-awareness, to self-knowing in its most complete sense. When you know self-knowing in its most complete sense, it's thus, one could say, an intent to transcendence. When you get past the self-knowing of this, what form that you're in now, you're going to transcend if you know yourself completely. You're going to become something else. You won't just be your typical usual self, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I'm not seeing any comments from you, Michaela. Let me refresh and see. But you keep reading paragraph 3 there, please, Beena.
Okay, I thought that I think she is not online anymore.
Yeah, I think she's dropped. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Never mind. I was hoping to have her more involved, especially if she comes every day and starts to participate in these, like Norma does. And especially from that way of impeccability point of view of doing repeat backs and takeaways. Then it'll be great. Norma says sound back now. Okay. So very good. Thank you, Norma. Thank you. And Norma's back too. Not just the sound, but Norma also. So not only is Norma back, but so is normalness. Normalness. Yeah. Wonderful, Norma. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. I'm glad you're here, Norma. All right. Please keep going, Beena.
Okay, I'm trying to read this as if I have no clue what is before and what is after that. So,
Well, no, I mean, we do need to read this as its whole because nobody's going to start reading paragraph 3 without reading
I
1 and
know.
2.
No, I'm not saying about the paragraph three, but even if it is just a paragraph one, if someone has
Oh,
no
the
idea,
article
have
that every article, it's very possible that somebody looks through uh, the contents and say, "Oh, I'm confused about reducing ones to nothing." Okay, well, let me go and see what this is about. They may start reading. Yeah, that's quite possible. Yes. Yeah.
yes, and also that okay, if they don't know Biella, and if they don't
Yeah.
have any idea, if this just first paragraph is going to describe something, or at least initiate or instill some curiosity to want to know more about it, or not. So this is something I just want to pay attention to. Uh, TM, the idea and conception of reducing wants to nothing is tricky. It does make sense to anyone who is
Correct.
in the path of
Correct.
learning and growing. Of course, yes.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
certainly a generalization. Okay, this is a curiosity part. Okay, why and how it is a generalization? Because it's a very profound idea, quote unquote, that oh I just want to reduce my wants to actually nothing. I just want to be there. As I see things, okay, yes, a common belief. As I see things, we can want nothing except appropriateness, except learning and growth. Those aren't really wants but intents. And also, I think those come hardwired. They are our lot in life, our fate, our destiny, or however one wants to see it. Whether we want to or not, we will be forced to learn. So, in those aspects, it's simply going with it or not. I personally feel that change to not use the wants in the sentence other than what Biella is using, like however one wants to see it, that won't, if we can change it, because it is just taking the emphasis a bit away. Yeah. But that makes sense. Even if someone is reading and have no idea who Biella is. Yes. And yes, most certainly, I see the difference between want and intent. To me, there is intent, just intent by itself as a universal force, like gravity. It simply exists. It's a fact in the universe, as far as I'm concerned, that intent is the intent to awareness. Okay, that universal intent she's talking about, by that intent, she means that that universal intent is the intent to awareness.
No, she means like if you look at cosmology, right? There
Mm.
is all throughout pervasive. If you now can look at the world through a lens that shows you the universe as energy, yes,
Yes,
you're going to
yes,
see like this big, massive, great, big, thick stream of energy, like like the I don't know how you would describe it, but like it's the most dominant thing in the universe, and that is intent. and then you get little tendrils that come off of it, much like, I guess, my thing here, right? This is the center column, and then the stuff that comes off around it, they all, it's like the Amazon River, right? And just taking the Amazon basin and all the
Yes.
tributaries, yes. Those
Yes.
tributaries is what we call the physical universe. Yeah? There may be others, that some other kind of a universe, but it all flows from that intent. Yes, intent is the universe. It's one and the same thing, really. Yeah, that force, that energy, that is intent. That's what she's saying. That, yeah, intent is the universe. Yeah, as a universal force, it's like gravity. Yes, but gravity is a consequence of intent, not, they don't exist there. Intent creates firm, hard reality, which makes gravity. See, so gravity is a consequence. But for understanding it as a universal force like gravity, it's much simpler than going into this explanation that I just shared. Yeah.
Okay. If just an idea for me, of course, that it's a fact in the universe as far as I'm concerned. After that, if we just remove this full stop and use a comma and say that, okay, as far and continue this and use this as far as I'm concerned in a continuous sentence, like uh, it simply exists. It's a fact in the universe. As far as I'm concerned, that intent is the intent to awareness, the intent to self-realization, to self-awareness, to self-knowing in its most complete sense. What do you think?
Yeah. What do I think about what? Sorry.
Okay, okay. I was just saying that, okay, it's just an idea for me that if we remove the full stop after as far as I'm concerned and use a comma here and make it a continuous sentence, like it's a fact in the universe as far as I'm concerned, that intent is the intent to awareness, the intent to self-realization, to
Simply
self-awareness.
exists. It's a fact in the
Yes.
universe as far as I'm concerned. No, it's not a fact in the universe as far as I'm concerned. That intent is the intent to awareness. That's not what she's saying.
Okay. Okay.
You've got that a little mixed up here. It simply
No, no, no. I'm
exists. It's
not
a
getting
fact in the
it
universe
mixed
as
up.
far as I'm concerned. Intent is the intent to awareness. But she's talking about that as in not, it's not as far as I'm concerned, that intent is the intent to universe. It's that intent, the intent she's talking about as a universal force. Yes?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. That intent is one of transcending the limitations of divided self. That
Hang
intent
on, hang on. Let
is
me deal with Michaela here real quick. It says there's
yeah.
a difference between want and need. No, it doesn't say that at all. Where does it say that? Where does it say need, Michaela? See how people assume. You're assuming. Doesn't say. Where does it say need? Interesting, right? Michaela, look what happened. Your assumption of opposites made you believe that something was written that's not there. Right? Michaela says it says there's a difference between want and need. I copied this whole first section. Yeah, till we get
Yeah.
to the next subheading. I copied it all and put it into Messenger here for Michaela because she can't read. She's on the phone, so it's hard to read. Like, sure, it's hard to read. Yeah. But
Yes.
so her comment on she says it says there's a difference between want and need, and also we don't know what we want and what we need. That's in your own idea, yes, but that's not what the article is saying. It doesn't say anything about need. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. But it's fascinating, and this is what I try to put in the front in the beginning of how to read this. Go outside of your expectations. I mean, the reality right now is that Michaela believes that this is what the article is saying, that there's a difference between want and need. But doesn't say that at all. It doesn't even imply that, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's interesting, huh? Yeah. Very interesting. So we have to be very careful of this, and assuming that because want and need typically go together in this type of a conversation, right? But no,
Yes.
this is about want and intent, which is two things that aren't typically that associated. Now you used to reading that, but Michaela is really interesting here because she's reading it from that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it doesn't, Michaela. It doesn't. So read again. I mean, Michaela, it sounds a bit harsh in typing. I don't mean to sound harsh there, but typing doesn't, you know, it sometimes can sound a bit harsh. I mean, just read it again, please, Michaela. And now read and look what it's actually saying, not what you believe it is saying. It's two different things. Yes, we have to be very careful of reading what we believe it says, as is the issue here, right? So just read that first paragraph, and then the second one. Well, the first one, right? Uh, that and you'll see she's not talking about need. Yes, it's about reducing wants to nothing, not needs. Yeah. Okay. All right. Please go ahead, Beena. Where were we lost? Seems like we may have to
Yes,
start the whole
most.
thing again.
Oh, okay. The intent, that intent is one of transcending the limitations of divided self, of ego, and limited consciousness. In other words, we have to transcend ourselves in order to become one. We have to transcend the concept of self, concept of one, the concept of individuation. We have to
Yeah.
transcend the words themselves, transcend language and thought. We have to transcend the very concept of being. Then only can we transcend into being. Then only can, when fully merge, attune, and align with universal intent, which really is the energy. That is the universe.
Wow. Wow. Then only can we transcend into being. Then only can we fully merge, attune, and align with universal intent, which really is the energy that is the universe. I'm gonna need to. My mouse is not working right. I mean, I click and I want to. No, it's not working right. I don't know why. Who knows? Sometimes just things are just difficult. Yes. So now Michaela says, so it says in the next paragraph that intent is a form of energy, in fact. Yes, yes, please do that. Please put it in your own words. Do a repeat back, in other words, Michaela. Yes, this is a very big. That's okay, Michaela. That this is part of the exercise is actually to look dumb and know so and be okay with it. If you can't be okay looking dumb, then you're always going to have ego problems and it's always going to be an issue. So in this case, yes, you are dumb. That's no problem. Don't worry about it. We're all dumb, Michaela. Yeah, in front of people. So what? Do you know any of the people that are going to think you're dumb? And beside which, in Michaela, if you just say comments in general, how do you know they don't think you're dumb anyway? See, we don't know, so we got to be chill with this thing of looking dumb. Yeah, yeah. Universal plus energy as separate. Yes, that's what Norma says. Yeah, yeah. You know, the energy is the what actually exists. What we perceive as the universe, the reality, the planets and the stars and space and all of this stuff. This is a consequence of that energy materializing. Yes. But actually, it's just energy in a particular form. That's all. But the root of it, that The planets are going to change over time. At some point, our sun is going to go nova and the earth will explode and burn up in a cinder and will be gone completely, right? When the sun goes nova, be aware the entire solar system gets vaporized. That's it. It's gone. It's end of it. Nothing. And in other words, Earth and all of its components go back into being raw energy. Right? That's in the cards for some time in the future. We can see other stars out in the universe when astronomers every now and then the sun goes nova and then they can see the consequence around it, right? And that's what going nova means. It obliterates anything within a certain radius from it. Yeah? When we go back to being energy, that's the point. The point that I'm making is that what we perceive as reality is not the actual reality. Actual reality is energy. Yes. But from a physical, scientific point of view, it is energy. But I am saying, or Biella is saying here, more specifically, Biella is saying, and it's a point of view of the understanding of the new nobility, yes, that energy, which is the core of the universe, that energy has intent, is intent, not just has an intent, is intent. Intent in, maybe you can put it in all caps, intent. Yeah. So when we understand that the foundation of our everything, there's an intent there, is intent. And what is that intent? The intent to awareness. See? This universal intent is the intent to awareness, not an intent to simply survive or exist or an intent to have fun. No, it's the intent to awareness. Why? Because you're talking about the maximum of all intents. And what can it be other than an intent to awareness when you think of it as appropriate? It cannot be anything else. If you have an intent to joy, well, the next question you have to ask is, well, what do I need to be joyful? The moment you say, what do I need? You imply the need for or a desire for awareness because you don't know. The moment you want something, that means you don't know how to get it, which means you need awareness. You see, it all ties together. That's why intent to awareness is what intent has to be. Can't be anything else. Make sense, Beena?
Yes. Yes.
You get really deep on this, right? But again, let's take this article the way somebody might read it. They might not stop the way we do. And actually, I would recommend this. And you know what, Beena? I need to put this
Yes.
into the how to get the most value out of this book. I have to say, I recommend, yes, stopping, but only after you've read the entire chapter through and once at least, yes, in its entirety. Then reread and stop and think about it and figure it out and think it through to the end because many of the answers are going to come later. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
You're dealing with incomplete information. So let's try that. Let's read the whole article and then we come back and go over it. Let's do it that way. Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
All
hearing.
matter is,
Oh.
yes, okay. All matter is simply temporary transformed energy.
One second, one second, one second. Yes, Michaela, surprise test. But that's it. From Way of Impeccability, we always want to be ready. Always want to be all good. All good, Michaela. All good. You did answer. You did answer. You did answer. So you did respond. So it's all good. Yeah. So it's all good. All right. I'll read what you have to say um a little later. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Very cool takeaway there. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Good takeaway. Very good takeaway. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's read now, Beena. Sorry for all interruptions here. Let's read the whole article. I'll scroll as appropriate.
All matter is simply temporarily transformed energy. To me, the energy that is
Sorry, sorry. I meant from the start again, so that we can hear it in one go. Because now we're jumping. It's like all matter. You know what I mean? It's not connected. We have to read the whole thing. You agree?
okay. Then scroll again
I am
on
there.
top.
I am. It starts with
Okay.
our lot in life.
It is. Okay. I'm confused about reducing wants to nothing. Dear M, the idea and conception of reducing wants to nothing is tricky. It's certainly a generalization, a common belief, as a should. As I see things, we can want nothing except appropriateness, except learning and growth. Those aren't really wants, but intents. And also, I think those come hardwired. They are our lot in life, our fate, destiny, or however one wants to see it. Whether we want to or not, we will be forced to learn. So, in those aspects, it's simply going with it or not. And yes, most certainly, I see the difference between want and intent. To me, there is intent, just intent by itself as a universal force, like gravity. It simply exists. Its effect in the universe, as far as I'm concerned. This universal intent is the intent to awareness, the intent to self realization, to self awareness, to self knowing in its most complete sense. It's thus, one could say, an intent to transcendence. That intent is one of transcending the limitations of divided self, of ego, and limited consciousness, in other words. We have to transcend ourselves in order to become one. We have to transcend the concept of self, the concept of one, the concept of individuation. We have to transcend the words themselves, transcend language and thought. We have to transcend the very concept of being. Then only can we transcend into being. Then only can one fully merge, attune, and align with universal intent, which really is the energy that is the universe. All matter is simply temporarily transformed energy. To me, the energy that is the universe has an intent. Oh, to me, the energy that is the universe has an intent. Therefore, it is intent. When I capitalize intent, that is usually what I am referring to or connecting to. My personal intent is like a tiny fragment that has become separated and is trying to reconnect. It's some minuscule piece of that intent that is universal energy. Please
Okay,
explain.
makes sense. Makes sense. Michaela, if you can hear me, keep going. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep listening to get the overview of the entire chapter. Okay, wants that matter. Yeah, sorry. There you go, Beena.
Where it is now. Okay, wants that matter. To get back to wants, I suppose that when it comes to wanting, we can separate into abstract wants and material or literal wants. But it's about neediness also. It's
Here
a
we
tricky
come.
perspective. It's a tricky perspective. We kind of have to learn to want without wanting, much like believe without believing. Language is limited here. If I'm wanting to get out of depression, for instance, in a limited sense, if it's a pure reactive want, then it could blind me to the valuable lessons I may be needing to learn. So it's not wanting.
Oh, sorry, Beena. I was trying to. Stuff just being difficult. I want to change this want without wanting, put the capitals and the hyphens. But anyway, keep reading.
Not wanting anything is actually an entire philosophy all by itself. It stems from or is rooted in the awareness of the limitation of the sensibilities of want. The awareness of the limitation of the sensibilities of wants. Okay. That's where the key to not wanting resides. This is the genesis of the young man's The Gift of Intent story. GOI, Gift of Intent story. For me, it was that excruciating understanding that my personal wants might be flawed. Not might, but were most. likely to be so in the grand scheme. In the overall life context, our wants as limited beings are untrustworthy. So that is why unhooking from them is so imperative. But how? We want to insist by force of circumstance, but that is another conception dealt with elsewhere. How we are. To not suffer, to not waste time and energy, one could say, are not wants really? They are simply the way we are. I'm not getting the sense. Okay. To not suffer, to not waste time and energy, one could say are not wants really. They are simply the way we are to me. To me, a want is an added thing to what we are. Hmm. Need is different to want also. If we need something, we go about acquiring it without wanting. Wanting has a desperation to it, a neediness. We can need something without being needy. Now, yes, much of this is because of the nature of the word want. This is a case where we are transcending a word. We have to come to know what we mean by it. And we have to come to know that the word and its use in this context and manner is limited. And if we, okay, so please scroll.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, um, okay. I have to edit here. Go ahead, Beena.
Okay, yeah, this is a case. Actually, it takes a bit time for my screen to upload, so to update.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why. This is a case where we are transcending a word. We have to come to know what we mean by it, and we have to come to know that the word and its use in this context and manner is limited. And if we get too bogged down in precise definition, we will lose the inordinate value of what we so easily grasp intuitively and knew with our silent knowledge when we first encountered this concept. Wow. That is what we need to hold on to. That innate sensibility we know that lies in the heart of this apparent paradox. This seeming contradiction. This seeming contradiction. Thus we learn also to not only not want, but also to learn to want without wanting. It's an exquisite business. It's to me the sophisticated beginnings of transcendence. I love the word transcendence, by the way. One of my first life goal words. Beautiful.
Wow, there's universal Biella. Very cool picture. Very cool. Inalienable ones.
Inalienable wants. In one way, if one thinks about it, we can't really want to feel joy. It's kind of like setting up breathing as a want. It's just a condition of living. I mean, yes, of course, we can want in one sense, but in another, it's a redundancy. The
Wow.
key also with wants is dependency. Yes,
Hmm.
there are some things we do want, but we cut those to the absolute minimum, to nothing thus. Even life. We cut out even wanting life. But my inner aspects scream in alarm. Not want life itself? That is silly, absurd, ridiculous. I asked them calmly, but is it? Is it really? They pause, sensing a trick, feeling my sincere earnestness, and knowing from experience, having learned the hard way, that perhaps there is a perspective that they have not considered, a perspective they have not yet come into contact with. They relent, the pressure abates. I struggle with this pronunciation, though I use it in my poem.
Which word?
The pressure abates. Yes?
Abates.
Yes. And the pressure abates. It's still continuous, but now to not want life itself by considering what we don't want more. I say gravely, this scares them a bit. They feel the momentousness of that statement in my feeling, the unremitting sobriety of that consideration.
Keep going.
Don't wants. They are afraid to ask. This is an awful truth, they know. They don't like awful truths, but they have come to learn the awesome necessity of learning to deal with awful truths. They know they can only shirk the task as a means to gather their energy. They can only avoid not dealing with an awful truth while they gather their armies of honesty, while they marshal the resources of truth. It's an unpleasant business. They think of it as war, unpleasant in the extreme, but necessary.
Wow. 1 second. I'll scroll in a moment. Okay. Good night, Michaela. Go to bed now. It's late for her when she says I have to go to bed just to be up early. But she doesn't go. She keeps typing. Don't once. Wow, this is an incredible article. Wow. Chapter.
They are afraid to ask. This is an awful truth, they know. They don't like awful truth, but they have come to learn. Okay, necessary. Sorry, I have already read this one. They know these aspects of mind. They know it's merely a way of approach. It's really nothing like war, but it makes them feel brave, feel resolved. It emboldens them, hardens them. It braces them for what it to come. And they know from past experience that when they overreact this way, when they over prepare, then the actual awful truth turns out to be no big deal in the end. In the inner virtual world of the aspects of ourselves, everything tends to be relative. It's an abstract world. Everything is relative in the abstract. They have come to know this, to use it to their advantage. Now they ask again, ask as mighty conquerors, okay, ask as mighty conquerors of seemingly and so-called awful truths. They ask what exactly could be worse than not wanting life.
Oh, hang on. I gotta
Cosmic
hear that
horror.
again. Read that again, please.
In the inner virtual world of the aspects of ourselves, everything tends to be relative. It's an abstract world. Everything is relative in the abstract.
Hmm.
They have come to know this, to use it to their advantage. Now they ask again, ask as mighty conquerors of seemingly and so called awful truths. They ask, what exactly could be worse than not wanting life, causing horror? I say, horrifying them. As they instantly put it all together, they don't have much initiative
Wow.
or aspect and no imagination, but they are quick, very, very quick, and putting things together once presented to them. Yes, yes, they are drawing the inevitable conclusion. If our living were to cause horror, it would be untenable. They
Yeah.
tend to get formal under stress. My aspects. We could not countenance that. They also tend to become somewhat self-righteous. They have to be closely
This is
watched.
fantastic. This is fantastic. Keep going, keep going.
So I ask, not wanting to let them off without consolidating, without locking in the new perspective. It has to be solid. They are the ultimate bureaucrats. These aspects.
Yeah.
They will always be what?
Oh, sorry. There we go. I just wanted to scroll to the end of the thing. Keep going, keep going.
Okay. They are the ultimate bureaucrats. These aspects. They will always be diligent in looking for a loophole, and they are expert at finding any flaw. They attempt and airtight perspectives before adopting them. They change only under protest. It's their way. There is safety in continuity of sameness. Sorry. There is safety in continuity of sameness. Change is dangerous. Change is an unknown. They need conclusive reason to change. They need conclusive reasons to change. These aspects need to be leveraged to change. So, I ask again, unnecessarily. They can hold a thought forever if need be. Everything is filed away in that labyrinth bureaucracy they inhabit. So,
Labyrinthine.
labyrinthine bureaucracy they inhabit. So, what is worse than not living to us, not wanting harm? They reply in unison. It's their mantra. Doing harm. Then they
Unison.
go in unison. Okay. They reply in unison. It's their mantra. Doing harm. Then they go into fine detail mode. Now it's microscopic print time. Their area of expertise. I hear one say, but it has to be substantially more harm than the good of living. Another adds, we have to know for sure, and there are no guarantee. They debate the finer points. I leave them to it. Those are all valid points. The fact that they are debating the means of implementation is enough. They have accepted the truth of the matter. There are some things worse than death. That is the initial truth, essential truth. I throw at them for good measure. What about manipulation? They put it together in that incredible way of theirs. I do not have to explain much to the aspect. They are masters of inference. They can construct a point from the absolute minimum of information. I love this. They can they can construct a point from the absolute minimum of information. We can, yes.
Ah.
Yes, yes. The chorus. We cannot allow manipulation. Therein lies the path to slavery. It's anti-freedom. It's a trap. Anytime we can be manipulated, we have no power. This is a big concern to their mindset, and rightly so. They are scrupulous and impeccable these aspects. They are, however, wholly dependent on information. They are only as good as the information they have access to. Perspective is a particular type of information they are unable to acquire for themselves. It's not hard data, but once they do have perspective, they put it good to good use. They connect the dots. They close the circle. These fabulous aspects.
And all the aspects inside there. Yeah.
It's through want we can be manipulated. Free wants. They are
Wait,
ecstatic.
1 second, 1 second. Just, sometimes peculiar things, I want to move this to the center, but I have to do it like this and then reduce the extra space. Yeah. Anyway, peculiarities of formatting. Keep going. It's through
Okay.
want we can be manipulated. That mustn't be a capital here. Yeah. Go ahead.
Even capital W bonds, it
No,
can be manipulated.
no. It's through little ones, not capital W ones, because capital W ones are impeccable ones.
Yes,
So
so I thought that you are changing it to W, capital W.
it was capital W. I took it off,
Oh,
but
okay.
I had it as
Oh,
capital W for emphasis because it's
oh.
through want we can be manipulated. But the whole thing is in italics, so I put it in bold. Yeah,
Okay, okay. Free ones. They are ecstatic.
ecstatic.
Uh, yes, they can see how it all connects, how it all makes sense, how it all fits. This is what they live for, making sense of the world, making sense of it all, making sense of living. They are ecstatic because their conception of living has been expanded. They have become fully aware of just how limited that conception once had been.
Yeah,
They had been scared witless at one time, the time when they became aware that what they thought was a complete and tidy understanding of how things worked was in fact massively flawed. They had at one time had a cozy and comfortable safety of conception that conventional knowledge had all the answers. They might not have had all the details, but the exact details would be attained. But then the complete falsity of that belief at some point became inescapable and it had collapsed, leaving them with only the unknown, a stark terror for them. It had left them with disorder and chaos. It had left them with needing to construct a worldview for themselves, a daunting task. But they had no choices in the matter. It had been their good fortune or bad luck to be in a host that valued honesty. Okay, a host who valued honesty and earnestness, a host that wanted to know and figure out what actually was going on. They had no choice but to come along, but they soon got into the spirit of things as soon as the value was seen. They loved usability, practicality. They loved those because they could make rules about the details. They loved making rules. They remained bureaucrats at heart, even though they had come to value freedom. Where it is now. Okay. They have come to value freedom. Only in freedom lay true power. Only in freedom lay true power. This they knew, and this was a big deal to them. There could be no true freedom if there was the possibility to be manipulated.
yeah.
They understood now about reducing wants to nothing. They understood under ordinary circumstances. We want things like life and joy, but these could never be absolute wants. In the absolute sense, we had to reduce our wants to nothing at all. We would be free, no matter the price it may seem to carry. They had to come to see the only sensibility was the sensibility of the overall sensibility in the context of infinity. Biella.
No. Read that last again. There's full stops there, please.
Okay. There could be no true freedom if there was the possibility to be manipulated. They understood now about reducing wants to nothing. They understood under ordinary circumstances we wanted things like life and joy, but these could never be absolute wants. In the absolute sense, we had to reduce our wants to nothing at all. We would be free, no matter the price it may seem to carry. They had come to see that the only sensibility was the sensibility of the overall, sensibility in the context of infinity.
There
Yeah.
you go. Thank you. They had come to see that the only sensibility was the sensibility of the overall, sensibility in the context of infinity. Yes. Wow, this is an incredible article here. This is just like off the chart. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I want to read this article now. Yeah.
Oh,
Because I
yes.
was editing and there's still some editing I need to do, but I lost some cohesion of it. Yes. So I want to
Yes.
read it again for the cohesiveness involved. Let me just see here. Yeah. Uh, yeah, yeah, it's just choppy, Norma. I agree. And this is terrible, I think half the time we do these Beena out. We may hear each other, but I don't know how other people hear us. So bad. Are you hearing me okay? Anyway, you interrupt me if I
Yes.
start breaking up.
Yes.
No. Our lot in life. I'm confused about reducing wants to nothing. Dear M, the idea and conception of reducing wants to nothing is tricky. It's certainly a generalization, a common belief as a should. As I see things, we can want nothing except appropriateness, except learning and growth. Those aren't really wants, but intents. And also, I think those come hardwired. They are our lot in life, our fate, destiny, or however one wants to see it. Whether we want to or not, we will be forced to learn. So in those aspects, it's simply going with it or not. And yes, most certainly, I see the difference between want and intent. To me, there is intent, just intent by itself as a universal force, like gravity. It simply exists. It's a fact of the universe as far as I'm concerned. This universal intent is the intent to awareness, the intent to self-realization, to self-awareness, to self-knowing in its most complete sense. It's thus, one could say, an intent to transcendence. Ah, okay. That intent is one of transcending the limitation of divided self, of ego, and limited consciousness, in other words. We have to transcend ourselves in order to become one, capital O1. We have to transcend the concept of self, the concept of little o1, the concept of individuation. We have to transcend the words themselves, transcend language and thought. We have to transcend the very concept of being. Then only can we transcend into being. Then only can we fully merge, attune, and align with universal intent, which really is the energy that is the universe. All matter is simply transformed energy. To me, the energy that is the universe has an intent. Therefore, it is intent. When I capitalize intent, mute Beena, when I capitalize intent, that is usually what I'm referring to or connecting to. My personal intent is like a tiny fragment that has become separated and is trying to reconnect. It's a minuscule piece of that intent that is universal energy. Now we come to wants that matter. To get back to wants, I suppose that when it comes to wanting, we can separate into abstract wants and material or literal wants. But it's about neediness also. It's a tricky perspective. We kind of have to learn to want without wanting, much like believe without believing. Language is limited here. If I am wanting to get out of depression, for instance, in a limited sense, if it's a pure reactive want, then it could blind me to the valuable lessons I may be needing to learn. Wow. Yes. So it's not wanting in itself that is the problem, but the automatic and choiceless wanting. not wanting anything is actually an entire philosophy all by itself. It stems from or is rooted in the awareness of the limitation of the sensibilities of one's. And so once have a limited sensibility. Yeah. Yeah. So the awareness of the limited sensibility of one's. Wow. Very cool. It's rooted in the awareness of the limited sensibility of one's. Yeah. The limited sensibility of one's. That's where the key to not wanting resides. This is the genesis of the young man's gift of intent story. That can just go, yeah, it doesn't have to be. It's completely don't know what we're talking about. For me, it was that excruciating understanding that my personal wants might be flawed. Not might, but were most likely to be so in the grand scheme, in the overall life context. My wants, our wants, as limited beings, are untrustworthy. So that is why unhooking from them is so imperative. But how we want to exist, we want to insist, yeah, uh, might be flawed. Okay. For me, it was that excruciating understanding that the excruciating understanding my personal wants might be flawed because I don't know everything. They might be flawed, might be, and are likely to be. Yes, because I don't know everything. Not might, but were most likely to be so in the grand scheme, in the overall life context. My wants, our wants, as limited beings, are untrustworthy. This, that is why unhooking from them is so imperative. Yeah. But how we want to insist? By force of circumstance. But that is another conception dealt with elsewhere. How we are to not suffer, to not waste time and energy. One could say, or not wants really. They are simply the way we are. To me, a want is an added thing to what we are. Need is different to want also. If we need something, we go about acquiring it without wanting. Wanting has a desperation to it, a neediness. We can need something without being needy. Now, yes, much of this is because of the nature of the word want. Yeah. This is the case where we are transcending a word. Yeah, we have to come to know what we mean by it, and we have to come to know the word and its use in this context and manner is limited. And if we get bogged down in precise definitions, we will lose the inordinate value of what we so easily grasped intuitively and knew with our silent knowledge when we first encountered the concept. Wow, very cool. That is what we need to hold on to, that innate sensibility we know that lies in the heart of this apparent paradox, this seeming contradiction. Thus, we learn also to not only not want, but also to learn to want without wanting. Yes, yes, very important, very important. Thus, we learn not only to not want, but also to learn to want without wanting. It's an exquisite business. Yes, very exquisite. It's to me the sophisticated beginnings of transcendence. I love the word transcendence, by the way. One of my first life goal words. Wow. Okay. Inalienable wants. In one way, if one thinks about it, we can't really want to feel joy. It's kind of like setting up breathing as a want. It's just a condition of living. I mean, yes, of course, we can want in one sense. We can want it in one sense. We can want in one sense. But in another, it's a redundancy. The key also with wants is dependency. Yes, there are some things we do want, but we can cut those to an absolute minimum, to nothing thus, even life. We cut out even wanting life. I love this. I love this. I love this how Biella does this, right? And she really sets you up. The key also with wants is dependency. Yes, there are some things we do want, but we can cut those to the absolute minimum, to nothing thus, even life. We cut out even wanting life. But, my inner aspects scream in alarm, not want life itself. Uh, exclamation, exclamation. That's silly, absurd, ridiculous. I ask them calmly, but is it? Is it really? They pause, sensing a trick, feeling my sincere earnestness and knowing from experience, having learned the hard way, that perhaps there is a perspective they have not considered, a perspective they have not yet come into contact with. They relent, the pressure abates, still cautious, but now open, they ask. But how could it make sense to not want life itself? Oh, by considering what we don't want more, I say gravely. That scares them a bit. They feel the momentousness of that statement in my feeling, the unremitting sobriety of that consideration. But how could it make sense to not want life itself? By considering what we don't want more, I say gravely. This scares them a bit. They feel the momentousness of that statement in my feeling, the unremitting sobriety of that consideration. Don't want. They are afraid to ask. This is an awful truth they know. They don't like awful truths. But they have come to learn the awesome necessity of learning to deal with awesome truths. But they have come to learn the awesome necessity of learning to deal with awful truths. Very important. They know they can only shirk the task as a means to gather their energy. They can only avoid not dealing with an awful truth while they gather their armies of honesty, while they marshal the resources of truth. It's an unpleasant business. They think of it as war, unpleasant in the extreme, but necessary, but sometimes necessary. Now, I suppose in this case, necessary, but in this case, necessary. They know these aspects of mind. They know it's merely a way of approach. It's really nothing like war, but it makes them feel brave, feel resolved, and emboldens them, hardens them. It braces them for what is to come. And they know from past experience when they overreact this way, when they over prepare, then the actual awful truth turns out to be no big deal in the end. Yeah, very clever aspects. And wise. In the actual inner world of the aspects of ourselves, everything tends to be relative. It's an abstract world. Everything is relative in the abstract. They have come to know this, to use it to their advantage. Now they ask again, ask as mighty conquerors of seemingly and so-called awful truths. They asked what exactly could be worse than not wanting life. No, That's worse than wanting life, not wanting life. What can be worse than wanting life? That's not the question. It's the question of they ask what exactly. It's not, no. What could be a worse not wanting? Anyway. All right. Causing horror, I say, horrifying them. This has to be sorted here to make it more clear. I understand what it's meant here, but it's not written right. Anyway, they ask what exactly could be worse than. No, it's not even wanting life. What could be worse than life? Oh, dang it. Ah, there we go. What could be worse than life? Causing horror, I say, horrifying them. Yeah. What exactly could be worse than living life? I guess, or worse than, yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I'm interrupting the read of this here to fix this. But anyway, what could be worse than living life? Causing horror, I say, horrifying them, as they instantly put it together. They don't have much initiative, our aspects, and no imagination, but they are quick, very, very quick at putting things together once presented to them. Yes, yes. They are drawing the inevitable conclusions. If our living were to cause horror, it would be untenable. They tend to get formal under stress, my aspects. We could not countenance that. They also tend to become somewhat self-righteous. And they have to be closely watched, these aspects. So, I ask, not wanting to let them off without consolidating, without locking in the new perspective. It has to be solid. They are the ultimate bureaucrats, these aspects. They will always be diligent in looking for a loophole, and they are expert at finding any flaw. They demand airtight perspectives before adopting them. They change only under protest. It's their way. There is safety in the continuity of sameness. Change is dangerous. Change is an unknown. They need conclusive reasons to change. These aspects need to be leveraged to change. So, I ask again, unnecessarily, they can hold the thought forever if need be. Everything is filed away in that labyrinthine bureaucracy they inhabit. So, what is worse than not living to us? Not wanting harm. They reply in unison. It's their mantra, doing harm. Then they go into fine detail node, but it's microscopic print time, their area of expertise. I hear one say, but it has to be substantially more harm than the good of living. Mm, yeah, it has to be substantially more harm than the good of living. Another adds, we have to know for sure. And you know there are no guarantees. They debate the finer points. I leave them to it. Those are all valid points. The fact that they are debating the means of implementation is enough. They have accepted the truth of the matter. There are some things worse than death. That is the essential truth. I throw at them for good measure. What about manipulation? They put it together in that incredible way of theirs. I do not have to explain much to the aspects. They are masters of inference. They can construct a point from the absolute minimum of information. Yes, yes, they chorus. We cannot allow manipulation. Therein lies the path to slavery. It's anti-freedom. It's a trap. Anytime we can be manipulated, we have no power. A big concern to their mindset, and rightly so. They are scrupulous and impeccable, these aspects. They are, however, wholly dependent on information. They are only as good as the information they have access to. Perspective is a particular type of information they are unable to acquire for themselves. It's not hard data, but once they do have perspective, they put it to good use. They connect the dots, they close the circle, these fabulous aspects. As a quote, it's through wants we can be manipulated. Free wants. They are ecstatic. They can see how it all connects, how it all makes sense, how it all fits. This is what they live for, making sense of the world, making sense of it all, making sense of living. They are ecstatic because their conception of living has been expanded. They have become fully aware of just how limited that conception once had been. They had been scared witless at one time, the time when they became aware that what they thought was a complete and tidy understanding of how things worked was in fact massively flawed. They had at one time had a cozy and comfortable safety of conception that conventional knowledge had all the answers. They might not have had all the details, but the exact details could be attained. But then the complete falsity of that belief at some point became inescapable. But then the complete falsity of that belief at some point became inescapable. And it had collapsed, leaving them with only the unknown, a stark terror to them. It had left them with disorder and chaos. It had left them with needing to construct a worldview for themselves, a daunting task, but they had had no choice in the matter. It had been their good fortune or bad luck to be in a host who valued honesty and earnestness, a host who wanted to know and figure out what actually was going on, a host who wanted to know and figure out what actually was going on, actually was going on. They had no choice but to come along. But they soon got into the spirit of things as soon as the value was seen. They loved usability, practicality. They loved those because they could make rules about the details. They loved making rules. They remained bureaucrats at heart, even though they had come to value freedom. Only in freedom lay true power. This they knew, and this was a big deal to them. There could be no true freedom if there was the possibility to be manipulated. They understood now about reducing wants to nothing. They understood under ordinary circumstances we wanted things like life and joy, but these could never be absolute wants. In the absolute sense, we had to reduce our wants to nothing at all. We would be free, no matter the price it may seem to carry. They had come to see that the only sensibility was the sensibility of the overall. Sensibility in the context of infinity. Biella.
Wonderful article.
Yes, yes. I wanted to say, in the absolute sense, we had to reduce our wants to nothing at all, so we could not ever be manipulated. Yes?
Yes.
Ah, ah, wow. Press the wrong key. So we could. It is a wonderful article. I feel that it's taking a very complex topic. I mean,
Exactly.
Biella is essentially taking the core of Buddhism and reducing it into one article.
Yes.
I mean, she does a good job, but at the same time, you have to accept that she's making jumps, yes, in order to contain it within an article. Yeah. I mean, there's so much. I mean, this is just it's fantastic. But again, she doesn't state it right in the beginning. I feel that, it says, I'm confused about reducing wants to nothing, right? And therefore, there's no real answer to this, right? Biella doesn't say right away, yes, you must or you mustn't. She explains what it means, yes,
Yes.
which I feel she does a good job. And in the end, she is saying that, yes, in the normal sense, in the ordinary sense, we have to have wants in order to live. But there's also wants, and well, she didn't say a capital W wants, but the wants of appropriateness and the intent to awareness and stuff like that. Those are, you can't really escape them. They're inevitable. But at the end of the day, she says you do need to reduce your wants to nothing. Why? Because if you don't, there's worse things than than what you may want life, but there's things that come with wanting life that you may not want, and you may not want them worse than not wanting life. It's a tricky conception, and I have to find a way to write it more accurately, right? So when we say there's
Yes.
what can be worse than not wanting life? Well, horror and manipulation. Yeah. So that's at first we don't sort of click to this. It's a bit tricky. And I have to read this article again, and I will another time, because I want to. We have to leave now, but I don't have to, but I want to. Um, but that's a big point, right? And we don't think this. That we just say, well, what's worse than death? I think I must put it that way, rather than saying not wanting life. Yes, we have to learn to not want death. In other words, we have to learn to understand that we have to learn to not want life. We have to take that want out of the equation, which means that we have to be okay with death. And you say, yes, but isn't death the worst thing? No, it's not. Would you rather die than cause horror, like horror on a global
Yes.
scale? Yes, of course.
Oh, yes.
You see, this is just any decent person says there are worse things than death. There's plenty of them. This idea that death is the worst thing ever is a ridiculous idea, because first of all, you don't even know what it is. If I have to choose death over torture, it's like, come on, Many people choose this, right? When they get tortured, they don't have to hell with this. I'd rather die, kill me, don't torture me. Yeah, it's much worse because it's a known compared to an unknown. You know.
Yes.
But again, that's, you might say, yeah, but death may be unending torture. Fine, it's my unending torture as opposed to horror for the entire world, the universe. All right, if so be it. If that's now the case, and the choice that I have is a very sucky choice. But see, so when we really think about this, reducing wants to nothing, it makes sense from the concept of horror, but even more so, it makes sense in the context of want being a vulnerability that leads to the ability to be manipulated. And I don't think that Biella used the word vulnerability here. Yes?
No. No.
Yeah. And I think that's important. Yes. That
Yes.
that our wants are a vulnerability. So I'll reread the thing and edit it and go into it again. Because now it would be too long to do. But that's why we are doing these readings, to expose the flaws. Yes, I think this is only in freedom lay true power. This they knew, and this was a big deal to them. Yeah, yeah. They had come to understand, semicolon, actually. There we go, Beena. They had come to understand once meant vulnerability.
Mhm.
There could be no true freedom if there was the possibility to be manipulated. They understood now
Yes.
about reducing wants to nothing. They understood under ordinary circumstances, we wanted things like life and joy. But these could never be absolute wants. In the absolute sense, we had to reduce our wants to nothing at all. So we could not ever be manipulated. We would be free, no matter the price it may seem to carry. They'd come to see that the only sensibility was the sensibility of the overall sensibility in the context of infinity. In other words, in the context of infinity, you can't have any wants. You have to reduce them to nothing. Yes?
Yes.
Because wants tie you to the want. They aren't true freedom. Yes. And I think there's a deeper point here too, that also that if we have a want, our wants are limited to what we think we want, not what we actually really should want in the grand scheme of things. Yes. So any
Yes.
want is a limitation of our reality. I think I'm going to put this in as a quote at the end here. You understand what I mean, Beena?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Let's put this in here. Okay. And, that ties it all together in the quote. It's hard to put it into the article, but in the quote, it now makes sense. Yes?
Yes.
What did I say? Any want is a reduction. Yeah?
Yes.
Any want is a reduction and limitation of possible reality. And that ties it all together now, yes?
Yes.
That's very cool. No. There we go. Yeah. I mean, that now gives the reason why we want to reduce wants to nothing. It wasn't kind of mentioned in this sense. Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, it's a big article. I mean, we made a bit of a mess of reading it, I think, but it just, it is the way it is, right? I mean, just with the sound and the choppiness, but also it's such a big article. It's hard to read it. For me, this is an article that I have to read multiple times, even dozens of times, before I really extract the allness out of it, because it so goes against our every instinct to say, I don't want. Yes.
Yes.
I want to put that in as a quote here. Ah, formatting. It's just like, man, come on now. So I have to put in another space before I can see. I want to center it without centering the other. I just want to center that line, but it takes the whole paragraph with it. Okay, so I want to say about our instinct. Yes, in our every instinct screams wanting is right, and yet, very cool. Very cool. You agree, Beena?
Yes.
You see, now we have wants that matter. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
the want to freedom matters. Yeah, so we have to want without wanting and believe without believing. Language is limited. Yeah. I like the way she brought this aspects in the little interaction with her aspects, right? I just, boy, this is a whole book in one article. Yeah, you agree, Beena?
Yes. Yes.
It's a whole book in one article. Yeah. I think I want to say that. I think I want to say that, as a PS.
Yes.
Right? For me, I have so much
Yes.
more on this. I have tried to condense
Yes.
what is really a book into an article. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. I'm almost like sort of feeling a bit overawed. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
Like I'm sort of unable to do much because I so need to absorb this,
Yes.
internalize it, think about it, process it. Yeah. Any want is a reduction and limitation of possible reality. And they had come to understand wants mean vulnerability. Just right there, that's a quote. Wants mean vulnerability.
Yes. Exactly.
I'm almost tempted to take this and do it like this. Yeah.
Say it again, please.
Look at screen. Oh, I'm not screen
You're not
sharing.
sharing. Yeah.
Sorry. I said I'm tempted to do it this way. They had come to understand, because it was in one sentence, they had come to understand semicolon wants mean vulnerability. But now I shifted it down here and I want to put it on its own line. I just have to do it like this first in order to center it. Yeah. And to put it all in italics like this as a quote, in other words. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
to put this vulnerability in bold. Yeah. That's how you emphasize within italics.
Yes.
Really. You see what I mean with formatting, Beena? It's the most
Yes.
ridiculous thing. So now I have to go, there we go, backspace. I mean, luckily I figured it out. But I think this is more potent like this, right? They had come to
Yes.
understand and then put this as a colon. Hello, what did I hear outside? Sounded like my door was, but it wasn't my door. Okay. Put a colon there. They had come to understand wants mean vulnerability. I think this is very powerful like this, right? There could be no true freedom if there was the possibility to be manipulated. Yes? And it's not saying the direct connection. You have to put it together yourself a little bit. That well, if I want, I can be manipulated. That's how we get to be manipulated, through our wants. I think that's the opening quote, though.
Hmm.
Oh, oh, oh no. Where was that? We had that. I thought there was the quote. Through our wants, we are manipulated. No?
Yes.
Is that in another? We only read the one thing today. Huh? Where was that? Oh, yeah. It's through want we can be manipulated. All right. So it is in this. Yeah. Want means vulnerability. So it is connected. I'd forgot about that there. Yes. It's rather interesting that I did forget about that. But yeah. So again, wants mean vulnerability. Yeah. And then the connection through manipulation. So it is there. It is there. It just wasn't right here. But anyway, I like the way this is now. And I have to still fix this point about, the not want. What do we not want more? That point, to make that a bit more clear. All right, I'll go over that later. This is very cool, though. Just to connect all of this, right? All of this, to understand the entirety of it all. Not wanting harm, not wanting to cause horror. These are worse things. And so, Biella brings these in here because she's saying that this is a reason for saying I don't want. Yeah, to not assume that what we want is okay. There are things that we want or that we don't want. Yes, we want goodness, and therefore we don't want extreme worse things. Yeah, so it's a little tricky in the language, but don't want. Yeah. I think the point is made, though, and I'll have to read to see in that section, that middle section of the horror and causing harm, that these are things that we really, really, really don't want. Yes. Yeah. And we want them more
Yes.
than we want life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
It's
potentially.
already
Yeah, it's late. It's late. All right.
12:18.
All right. Yeah, we're
Yes.
going now.
Yes.
We're going now. We're going now.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Brilliant. 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 That was really something. That's just a huge article. Yeah, I like that. I
Yes.
like that. I like that. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool indeed. Yeah. I'm sort of processing it still. I don't want to let go of it. You know what I mean? I don't want to end because I feel like then I'm going to stop connecting to the moreness of this chapter. Yeah. You know what I mean, Beena?
Yes.
I don't want to let it go. I don't want to let it go
Yes. Yeah.
because that's what we do. The moment we sort of come to a break, our minds automatically move on to the next thing. It's just how we are. But I don't want to move on to the next thing. I want to hold this. Yeah.
Yes.
But I will. It will stick with me for the as for foreseeable future. Just how I've trained my brain to be, and it's very important to do that. What was the point I said that I must add to the beginning of the chapter? Oh, to read it through. Yes,
Yes.
that is kind of important. That is kind of important. Where am I reading this now? Where is that? Oh, did I not put it in this one? It's in book one. Yeah. Yeah, how to get the most value out of this. Uh, wow. Therefore, for those who, I said, yeah, reading with the intent to understand makes a huge difference rather than simply reading to add more information to the internal database. Therefore, for those who would like lasting value and usefulness from Biala's replies, I urge you to stop and process whenever you come to something that grabs you, connects, and resonates. Yes, yes. There we go. All right, let me read this, Beena.
You are not sharing a screen, so I.
Yeah. I'll screen share. Sorry, just wanted to share this with you because it's kind of part of what we were saying, and I don't want to let it go.
Yes.
Reading with the intent to understand makes a huge difference. With the intent to understand makes a huge difference. Rather than, I think I must put that intent to understand in all in italics and hyphenated. Reading with the intent to understand, yes, much better. Makes a huge difference rather than simply reading to add more information to the internal database. Therefore, for
Yes.
those who would like lasting value and usefulness from Biella's replies, I urge you to stop and process whenever you come to something that grabs you, connects, and resonates. First, read through to the end of the chapter to grasp the whole, then go over and stop. Ah, come on now. First, read through to the end of the chapter to grasp the whole, then go over and stop at what holds you wanting more. And stop at what holds you wanting more. You like that, Beena?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I think though I want to say I urge you to read to the end of the chapter to grasp the whole. To say that
Yes.
first, because we tend to remember things. If you say, I urge you to stop and process whenever you come to something that grabs you, that's already in your mind. You're now stopping at the sentence. Yes.
Yes.
So, in other words, this whole thing, I must say it I urge you to read the whole chapter, then go back, you see, and say it in that way. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. I'll do that later. I've got lots of editing to do. Yes. All right, all right, all right. Well, because, like I said, you understand the way the brain works. You know this, Beena. The first thing we grab onto
Yes.
sticks, and then you've got that in your mind already. It doesn't help to say, "Oh, but I've got to read the first." No, I've already made this decision to stop every time. No, so I urge you to read the whole chapter and then go back. So the emphasis now is on going, because I'm already going to read the whole chapter, and then go back and read and process sentence by sentence, idea by idea, something like that, right? Um, and process and don't continue until you really get it, yeah, etc. Just explain it better, right? That's too limited. Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Yeah. You see, that's what I mean, Beena. I want to clean this up so that they know things like this, which, yes, you understand what I mean, but it needs to be 100% as close to perfect as possible. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, we're getting there, Beena. We're
Exactly.
getting there. We're making this
Yes.
awesome. We're making this awesome. All right, wonderfulness. Oh, hang on, before we
Okay.
go, sorry, I got so involved in this article that I didn't refresh the comments there. And in my mind, I think Norma said she had to go, but she came back. And so I was still thinking she's not here, but she is. She did come back, and I even read some of her comments. So, oh, come on, Messenger, go away. Does the messenger chats pop up like that for you too, Beena?
Yes, sometimes, yes. I
Like
don't know
just
how it works, but
Yeah, it's just a poor system. They come unbidden. Um, but it is all not separate. Exactly. That's what Biella was saying, is to be part of the all. All is energy, and if you want to be free, you need to be part of the all. Reading can't be a job unless a school book. Yes, exactly, Norma. Exactly. And Michaela says the text highlights the distinction between wants and intents. Yes, in that we often confuse. while wants such as growth and learning are more conscious desires. Intent is described as an inherent built-in energy. Wants are influenced by our conscious mind, whereas intent is seen as universal force or energy. Yes, exactly, exactly, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, very good, Michaela. Good takeaway there. A little tweaking needed, that needs to be discussed somewhat. Not quite 100%, you know what I mean? Growth and learning aren't really conscious. That's what Biella was saying. If you really read carefully, she's saying those are inherent. Yes, they like defaults. Yeah, but it's close enough, right? You agree, Bina?
Yes. Yes.
But it's fascinating when we see this. When we see repeat backs and takeaways, we see how comprehension works. Yes, and how what is said, it was very clearly said, how we tend to take on what we believe is said, not what is actually said. So we have to be, that's why repeat backs are so powerful. And now when, especially in this type of a situation, we go back and forward and we say, is that really what was said, or did I just, oh yeah, but let's read, oh yeah, see, okay, I just assumed that, I thought so. And this is very powerful, to train your brain not to do that automatic. I thought so. I assumed so. I took it for granted. Yes. And not, in other words, to just
Yes.
have it come to you in your brain, but to be deliberately there, to actually see what's there rather than see what you expect to be there. It's very difficult. And this is in the nature of this book. Yeah. It is so
Yes.
difficult that, I mean, even though Michaela is somewhat aware of the things that typically what I share is more, still puts it into, I mean, look at the wants and needs. Complete, just, all right, I sprang it on that's part of way of impeccability. You can't prepare. You need to sometimes be surprised and be thrown into the deep end, like Beena was. Yes. Remember?
Yes.
You can't avoid it if you want to know for yourself that you can deal with the unexpected. If you're always prepared, well, then you never know if you can, right? So, unfortunately, from a facilitator point of view, you have to do this. It's kind of unfair in a way, but it's that very unfairness which makes the exercise or that implementation, that example, that situation so incredibly valuable, right? And once you know, you can rise to the occasion, step up, as it were, deal with it. You have a confidence, yes, right, which you do. It was
Yes.
transformative for you, Beena. It was transformative for you when that happened.
Yes.
Anyway, but like in this case now, Michaela can see, wow, yeah, I really did just jump to a conclusion. I jumped to an assumption. Where did need come from? It wasn't even mentioned there, but I just went want and need. Why? Because typically when you talk about wants, it's wants and needs. It's just habitual. You see, I have it, have it. It's incredibly insidious. We don't even realize how much, like in this case with Michaela. Now, if she'd just been reading that for herself, and let's just say she got to read that first part and then went away. Oh, that article is Biella's talking about wants and needs. Somebody could come away and say, well, what are you talking about, Michaela? Needs is not even mentioned there, and get her into trouble. Or if, like, it's in a job, for instance, right? And the boss is asking her to make whatever. She could get in trouble. So, well, no, you got it all wrong. So we have to be cautious here. We have to really learn to actually perceive, and not perceive through the filters of our beliefs. And those beliefs, to connect it to the article, our beliefs are connected to our wants. We tend to believe what we want to believe. It's kind of a duh, yeah, but at
Yes.
the same time, it's amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Very ridiculously powerful. Just too wonderful, Beena. Just too wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, I feel bad that, I hope at least when we were reading, that's why I thought, let me read me and you, to make sure that, some might not hear you, some might not hear me. We cover it both ways. But also, I was rereading for myself. I needed to, I feel you likely will want to read this again for yourself. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
maybe we'll do it again tomorrow. after I've edited it and cleaned it up, I think we'll read it again tomorrow. What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yes,
think so, because we're
that
not
will.
going to get a chance. And I need to process this more. I'm not done with it. I'm not done with it. Yeah. So we'll
Yes.
do it again tomorrow. We'll do it again tomorrow. All right. Brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We got through it, Norma. We got through it. It was a little difficult. Good news. My router should be here today, so I'll set it up and connect it, and hopefully tomorrow. And from now onward, I won't have any more internet issues.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
good. That's really good.
Yes. Yeah, we got there in the end. Yes. Right?
Yes.
All right. Brilliant. 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 Ah, too marvelous, Beena. Too marvelous. I really feel very overwhelmed in a way. Yeah. I'm quite
Mm-hmm.
surprised at my mood. I'm
Uh-huh.
very reluctant to leave the live. I don't want to let go of this. I feel like if I'm almost going to be a bit lost on my own. I need something to ground. Very interesting feeling. Very interesting feeling.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, but we have to go. Beena
Okay.
has to go and sleep. Beena has to go and sleep. It's late. It's late. It's
Yes.
late. All right, you sleep
Okay.
wonderfully and just awesomely and really profoundly. I think profoundly and dream sublimely.
Okay.
This of the moreness that we do want, the moreness of true, real freedom. If I can be free of once, I can really be free. Yes, this was the point of it all. Yeah,
Yes.
but real in a bigger sense, not in a smaller sense. Yeah, so we have to
Yes.
understand this contextual application. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, bye bye, Beena. Bye bye, bye bye, bye
Okay. Okay.
bye. Bye
Thank you,
bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, Brain.
Yes,
And thank you, everyone, whoever is going to watch us recorded there on YouTube also and on in the
yeah,
group.
yeah.
I really want you to, if you are watching it, please just do make a comment because it is really valuable, and it is going to help others to see this post more easily.
Yes,
So
yes,
by
yes.
doing so, you are not only going to help others, but also you are going to set your algorithm to give you moreness in your life and not just nonsense. So please do set your algorithm by clicking like
Yes,
and
so like it and love it, not just
yes,
comment, because then you will be
yes,
training your algorithm to get more of the same. Very good
yes,
point, Beena.
yes, yes,
I
and
never thought
also
of that as a reason for clicking on wanting and liking this. It trains your
yes.
algorithm to want more. Absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes. And also on YouTube, because we see that, yes, people are watching these videos. So whenever you are
Yeah,
watching, please do click like and subscribe to the channel also. Thank
yeah,
you. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you,
yes,
Syl.
yes. Bye bye, Beena. End meeting, end meeting, end meeting for all.